Hi guys, it's Carl here. Um, this is your national sports session for NTP 7311, assignment 1 or part 1 of the POE. I need to start this session with an apology. This was the session that was supposed to be taken on Tuesday evening. Unfortunately, because it was an out of sync session, I misread my timetable. And I could easily say, okay, fine, let's just leave it until next Wednesday when we suppose, or next Tuesday, sorry, when we're supposed to have a session. But I think it's going to be cutting it a bit fine. So I'd rather have this recording and distribute this to you now. And then next Tuesday evening, I will dedicate the complete class just to questions and answers, clarifications. Hopefully by then you'd have had a good look at the assignment. Hopefully you've started with it, and then you'll possibly have some questions, and we can do a question and discussion around that. Right. So let's have a look at a couple of administrative things around the assignment. Due on the 3rd of April, according to the current PAS. Please check the PAS for updates. I'm not saying it is due as the 3rd of April. If you've been around as you have been a couple of years, you know that PASs do change. So yeah, just make sure it is the 3rd of April that it's that you've got to hand it in. So that's about 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, you've got this sort of a long weekend that we're currently in, and then you've got the Easter long weekend to do a bit of work on it. This is as you'll see soon when I go through what the actual POE contains, this is a rather long POE. I don't think it's long. It is more something that you need to think about. And there's a lot of thinking before you can do the working. As of this year, last year you'll remember it was due date was 9 o'clock in the evenings. It's 23:59 now. Please, 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 don't wait until the last minute to hand it in. Hand it in a day or two early, just for your own safety's sake. It also gives SafeAssign time to do its thing, and you can then have a look and see if you need to adjust something. Also consider load shedding. We all know the times we live in, and we know how quickly load shedding can kick in. Please remember, load shedding is not considered an excuse. So if there's load shedding and you can't hand in because of load shedding, the answer you're going to get back is stuff you should have handed in earlier. It's not necessarily the answer you want, nor the answer that I think many of us want to give you, but that's unfortunately how it is. So please, you've got a lot of time. Don't leave it until 23:59. Then SafeAssign. Make sure that you have a look at your SafeAssign report. Make sure that you understand if it is saying there's a problem, please address the problem. Just my approach to SafeAssign, I don't look at the number. I've had students with as low as 10% that I've referred for plagiarism because they simply copied and pasted stuff which they did not reference, did not paraphrase or anything. And I've had students in the 50s that didn't have a problem because it was small bits here and there, and a load of the references got flagged. References getting flagged, in my opinion, is a good thing because it says many other people have also used those references, stating that those seem to be rather solid references if many other people have used those references in their work. Then referencing itself, I am a bit of a stickler for referencing. I make a living by using my intellectual capital, and if you use somebody's intellectual capital without their permission and without acknowledging them, in other words, without referencing them, you are stealing their intellectual capital, you're stealing their ability to make a living. You're not going to go into a mechanic's workshop and steal their tools. Therefore, you should also not steal an academic's work, and therefore you should reference them. I come down hard on people who don't reference. Yeah, it's one of the few things that I'm not negotiable on, so please be aware of this. One report is handed in, so you're going to only submit one document. We'll get to this and how to deal with it because there's two distinct parts to this. But I'll explain to you how, but make sure you understand you're only handing in one thing. The report part, which is the second part, is 2,000 to 2,500 words. Please indicate the word count on your report. That excludes your reference list. And please, guys, try to stick to that. Our instruction is to stop talking at 2,500 words. My experience is people who hand in longer pieces of work tend to hand in weaker pieces of work. Write it. When you finish, check your word count. See you at 3,200 words. Go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Reduce those words. Cut back. Say things more succinctly, and you'll probably have a much better assignment when you come closer to 2,500 than the 3,000 odd words you may have been at. Okay, so that's the administrative part of it. So let's start looking at the assignment itself. Some background on this. Now I'm stuck. 2012, I think it was, the UN got together and they developed the Sustainable Development Goals, commonly known as the SDGs, which are 17 goals that the world strives to, and if I remember correctly, the deadline is 2030 to try to get them. And this ranges from clean oceans to making sure that that people have got clean water, to things that we think should have been logical, like gender equality. Climate action is obviously a big one, to make sure that we don't overheat the planet, etc., etc. But these are the goals that have been set, and you would do well to go read up on the goals, and specifically those goals that were set for South Africa. So South Africa set their own priorities, and we said, look, these 17 things, yeah, that's great, but for us, we would like to set concentrate on some, because for us to concentrate on everything is going to be difficult. So we selected 6 of these goals for the South African context. And for the work that you need to do, you need to select one of these 6 things. So the first one is no poverty. So in other words, people should be able to earn a living, should be able to have an income, and be able to choose how they make an income. And in overall, we need to look at poverty alleviation strategies. Secondly, and this, although this goes close to the first one, because poverty and hunger is directly related, is a separate goal, that there's no hunger in South Africa. This includes food security, so that in the long term, we have plans on how do we get around preventing large-scale hunger. What happens when we have a drought? How do we look after people that are suffering because of that drought? Then health, good health and well-being. In other words, that our population is allowed to be healthy, that there's medical care, and medical care that can be accessed by people. And the quality of medical care shouldn't be dependent on your ability to pay for that. Anybody should be able to access good medical care. Then clean, affordable energy. In other words, and we all know the situation that we're in with Eskom and so on. So not only should we have energy available, but it should also be clean. And that's leaning towards green energy, wind and solar, that type of thing. The one that I find really astounding is gender equality. We've been talking about gender equality for many years. At least for 60 odd years, we've been talking about gender equality, and we still haven't achieved it. We're still messing about with that. And I can't believe in a country like South Africa, we're still messing around with gender equality, and that we haven't got to equality yet. And then lastly, clean water and sanitation, the access to potable or drinkable water, the access to sanitation, to toilets, washing facilities, etc. I see, or I heard on the news that Gauteng was going to put up or make available showers for homeless people in last week's news, and then suddenly they said, no, we're not going to do it anymore. I'm not exactly sure why they went backwards on their promise so quickly. But yeah, they were going to do it, and then they didn't do it. Then they decided not to do it. In any case, so what you need to do in terms of this assignment is you need to select one of those. So you need to select one of the South African priority ones, not one of the 17 or whatever it is, one of these 6 that are on the screen at the moment. And you need to develop and the words that are used in, okay, I didn't say develop. You need to select a mobile IT app, is the word that, words that are used in the assignment itself. In other words, you must come up with an app. You do not and should not and must not develop the app. We're not studying IT, we're not studying programming, but you must come up with a concept of an app. And the app needs to address one of these 6 issues. So I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm going to take one that's not there. If we think of the 17, one of the things on there is education. So I'm going to say my app is about education. The reason for my app is that we know that people that can't access education easily, and I'll give you a stat, show you a stat on how difficult people are, it is to access post-school education specifically. The app will then have on it a number of programs. I will source the programs from various post-school institutions, be they universities, universities of technology, technical colleges, the like. I'd ask them to make courses available free of charge. The app, I'll also speak to the various mobile providers and try to get the app to be free to air. So if you use that, you don't use airtime. I will also speak to libraries, publishers, etc., to make study material related to the courses available. People can then sign up on the app, and then they can complete the course on the app, maybe write some tests on the app, and then get a certificate of completion to show that they've done this. And thereby, I would be alleviating access to education, especially in rural areas in South Africa. So that will be my app. So once you've got an app out of one of these 6, remember, like the one I've just given you, education is not one of these 6, you then have to do the first part of the assignment. So the first part of the POE would expect you to do a presentation. And for the presentation, I will refer you to the pitch deck or supplement B of the textbook. It's not a supplement as in a separate thing. It's in the textbook itself. If you go to more resources on VC Learn, I've uploaded some lecture notes on that. So if you go to more resources, you'll see under lecture notes, there's I think I put it under lecture notes, or did I put it separate? In any case, there's a notes on the pitch deck, and that tells you how to pitch an idea. It's just notes on how does one go about pitching an idea to somebody. In your case, you will be pitching your idea for the app to government. So you need to make a 5 to 7 minute video of you talking about the app. What must the app, the video look like? It's completely up to you. I would start off and give a short introduction, then explain the app, and then explain why it gives a solution to whatever one of those 6 problems that we identified it makes. You need to speak. It can't just be a PowerPoint presentation. It needs to be a presentation to government. A presentation isn't just a PowerPoint. There's a voice. There are many tools. The simplest one is you can do it on PowerPoint. It's as easy as that. You can record over a PowerPoint presentation. If you go on to, and just test me on this, because I'm doing this on there. If you go to any one of your subjects and you go to Blackboard Collaborate, there where you normally click to go into a classroom, right at the top, there's an open classroom. If you click on there, you can go into a classroom, and I think you have the ability to share a PowerPoint presentation the way I'm doing now, and to record it, and then to download the recording afterwards. So you're completely able to do it there. There's a stack of tools that you can make videos on. Let us have a look at what must be included in the video. Let's get to the next slide. There we go. So you need to have a name for your business, or the name and a logo. This needs to be unique. You can't make one under the name of Sunmum, for example, or Pick and Pay. You need to develop a unique logo and a unique business. The if you look at the assignment itself, they'll give you a whole host of resources. Among those resources are resources that help you to develop logos, etc. You need to give your app a unique name, so you need to say what is the app's name. You need to show what SDG you've decided on using, and you need to explain how the app works, why this app is great, why this app is going to solve in part. Remember, those are big, audacious goals. It's not something that you're going to be able to solve with a single app. So when you look at those 6 things, select a part of it, a problem that you can solve. If you think about my education example, it's not going to solve the education discrepancy we have in the country, but it's at least going to address part of it. So that's your presentation. Now, the second part is your report. Now, the presentation, what you're going to do is you can record this presentation. The easiest way is to take this presentation and upload it onto YouTube. And in the first part, so when you hand in your part 2, which is your report, which we'll get to now, you will then be able to you'll upload it on YouTube, and then in your report you'll say part 1. This part can be found at the following link, and you just insert the hyperlink there to where your YouTube video is. If you want to upload it onto another platform, please do. But be aware that some of these platforms give limited access. If I can't get to your video, we have a problem. So, for example, I've had students in the past that have shared it from their drives in their cloud storage drives. And then by the time, because we don't mark everything the day after you've handed it in, obviously it's a process to get to everybody's. And by the time I get to mark theirs, the link has expired. So now I can't get to the video. So now it becomes a problem, because now I've got to say to the student, please resend the link, but is it the same link? Has the student since changed? It creates anomalies. YouTube doesn't do that. The easiest is just to do it in YouTube, make it private, and share the link with me. Okay, so that's presentation 1, and then the first part of your report, you're going to say part 1, and you're going to put the link to the presentation. So part 2 is a report. Now, my inclination is you should write a report. You shouldn't be doing question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. I would give those 4 headings, but I wouldn't make it look like a report. A report doesn't deal with questions. A report deals with issues. So basically, you'll have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And those 3 things need to be synthesized. They need to speak to each other. It needs to not be separate issues. It needs to be one whole report. The report part is 60 marks, plus there's 10 marks for the structure, the clarity, and making it look like a report. So in the report, you are going to address the following. The first question speaks to the forms of entrepreneurship that you can use and what form of entrepreneurship. Be careful about this. And part 1, 2, and 3 is basically the first 3 learning units. So go look at the different forms of entrepreneurship that we have access to, and that is chapter 1, or learning unit 1. Be careful, select form of entrepreneurship that you believe would be best for your business to launch this app from. Discuss the form of entrepreneurship, but if you're going to give me a theoretical argument, it doesn't help. You need to say what the form of entrepreneurship and why it is applicable. Why have you selected this form of entrepreneurship specifically for your venture? The entrepreneurial method that's suitable for your app is the second part. Which one of the different entrepreneurial methods would you use? And then 2.3 is the funding. How are you going to fund this? Now, you'll see there are different funding mechanisms. There's 3 methods. You need to discuss all 3. So, and remember, the form of entrepreneurship is probably going to influence the funding model that you use. And discuss them in the order. So say, firstly, I'm going to try this method, blah, 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 blah. The second method is this. I'm going to try it in this manner, apply, apply, apply. And if that doesn't work, then I'll try the third method, which is the following method. And this is how I'm going to apply that. The question 4 has to do with market segmentation. You obviously now you've got a big problem and a big market. How do you segment it? What segment are you going to talk? I think this is learning unit 3. How are you going to segment it? The size, which are the customers in there, and how you're going to get access to them. So that is your report. And then obviously after that, you're going to have a conclusion that takes together the complete report and closes it off nicely. And then after that, you'll obviously have your reference list. Please remember the reference list. At a third year level, I would be thinking, and I can't remember what the assignment said. They probably say something ridiculous like 2 references or something stupid. At a third year level, a well-researched, well-written assignment would probably have at least 10 references. And remember, the references that you put in your reference list must be used in text. So in text references must be reference list. Everything in the references must be in text. So that's about it. For what you need to do. You can see there's quite a bit of thinking around this. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop me an email, ask me your questions. I will next week, Tuesday, I don't know why I'm on about Wednesday all the time. Next week, Tuesday is the 26th. The 26th session will be dedicated to the assignment. You can come to that session with any questions. I might, depending on what you guys that are there say to me and how I feel, I might just briefly go over this explanation again. I actually think I probably will do that. And then we can have a chat and you can ask me all your questions. So make sure to go through the assignment, start thinking about your ideas. I don't necessarily want you to pitch ideas there, because obviously you pitch an idea there, then 7 other people want to use your idea. But okay, we'll talk about it further next Tuesday. I'm going to upload the recording, and I hope you have time to listen to the recording and start working on this assignment. If not physically working, at least doing a bit of mental work and mental preparation on this. Good luck with the assignment, and I'll chat to you next Tuesday.